Well, hello and welcome everybody to the new health conversation. You can see the headline, a new groundbreaking weight loss protocol has absolutely shocked the medical world. As a matter of fact, people are still ringing. Here's why. These researchers who for almost 40 years had conducted over 100 studies, thousands of people looking, they pretty much analyzed every diet out there. And what they concluded was that basically that every kind of diet out there in the long run, well, in the short run, people lost weight, but in the long run, they ended up gaining all their weight back. So the new research was around, okay, what are we doing wrong? Why is this not working? And it came down to one really simple principle. And that principle was that a diet is nothing more than lowering the amount of food you're consuming. Okay. But why is that so significant? It's so significant because the only thing your body cares about is not calories. It doesn't even know what a calorie is. And it only cares about the nutrition in our food. So the major breakthrough was they had a theory. Was it possible to create a new paradigm, essentially, where we could give you less food, but concentrate on the nutritional density in the food that they gave to people? That was the underlying premise. Okay. I'm going to jump ahead and then I'll come back and explain to you what they did. Men and women on this protocol lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet any of you have ever been on. Women lost a whole dress size in a week. Men lost 2 to 4 inches in a week. So the bloating and all that kind of stuff basically was dissipating. I'm going to show you some before and afters in a while. You'll think they're Photoshopped because they're so dramatic. The reason that the medical world is completely shocked, they've never seen anything like this. This is not a diet. It doesn't work like a diet. It's totally different, okay? But imagine in a month's time, people were losing the kind of weight that took a year on diets, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, okay? So welcome everybody. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 22 years. And I'm not telling you to impress you, but I want to impress upon you. I've written 4 best-selling books with medical doctors. I've done 20 shows on PBS and did over 1,500 live lectures in universities and medical schools and towns, and they even flew me to China. What we're sharing with you is this major breakthrough. I've been doing this 22 years. And for 20 years, the medical world, zero interest, didn't even want to look at this protocol, which was invented, parts of it, anyway, 25 years later. And then the researchers took it to a completely different level. Here's a couple things you need to know. Number one, this isn't lotions, potions, powders, pills, capsules. It's all natural. It's based on new combinations of food and completely different ways to consume the food. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but it took them 40 years to figure out why diets were failing us, because they are. We have 80% of America overweight. We have 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. I mean, honestly, do any of you really think that's working? I'd like to talk to you today as a friend. Yes, I'm the canary in the coal mine, and I know that for a lot of you, you're probably and will be extremely skeptical, especially when I show you the before and after pictures. But here's the thing that's so different about this. There are now 10 published peer-reviewed human trial studies. Now, why should you care about that? Because a medical investigation or medical examination, there's nothing higher than human beings in clinical studies that have been reviewed, not by the journals who publish the results, but by other world-class experts, medical doctors and scientists who have one job. This is interesting. Their job, they get paid to discredit what the researchers are proving. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial. Not on mice, not on rats, not a scientific paper, not doctor recommended. None of that means anything to any of us. It shouldn't. So these pioneering researchers, that was the theory that they had. Could we come up with a new strategy to give you less food, but not give you less nutrition? So here's how they did it. They developed a food list, which you would get for free. Keep in mind, the researchers don't sell anything. We don't sell anything to you, okay? So first, you get this list of proteins, fats, carbs, etc., but not just the foods, but the amounts of the food you're going to consume, okay? But only 30% of the food you're normally going to buy from your grocery store, that's all the food you're going to need for a month. Only 30% of what you're currently buying, all right? The other 70% of the food the researchers used came from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Now, why was that important? Because they didn't find it, but other researchers had found food sources that represented massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of quantity. And some of the foods definitely came from the blue zones. You're probably all familiar with the blue zones where people living into their hundreds, etc. Those people, I promise you, they're consuming way less food than we do because their body only cares about nutrition. It doesn't care about some arbitrary thing like, food. It only cares about what's in the food, which is the nutrition. So the new philosophy is everything that we're doing moving forward has to be about the absorption of nutrition because it's the only thing your body cares about. A calorie is just a measurement. If you're counting calories, I don't know why, because your body doesn't count calories. Your body doesn't care about calories. And I see all these influence. I can't find anybody out there that's not at the end of the day, there's some scheme to get you to count and lower your calories. Okay, now what's the outcome? 80% of Americans overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. Just me to all of you. Does that sound like it's working? I'm not here to disparage anybody. I'm not. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to make you aware of what's possible. I'm here to show you how in the world did men and women with, by the way, no one was allowed to exercise. Why? Because they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. Am I making sense? And I'd love for any of you can put it in the comments below, any questions you might have about what I'm talking about. But again, we want to concentrate. Hi, Mike. A groundbreaking weight loss protocol shocks the medical world and the researchers. No one's ever, hello, Carol. What we're talking about here is this new protocol that was invented by the top weight loss researchers in the world. They don't have a product. They don't sell anything. This isn't, but can you imagine any of you losing, I guess you don't care. You're going to go count calories and you're going to gain all your weight back. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It's not up for debate. It's not my opinion. I mean, we've got study after study proving that counting calories is complete, it's ridiculous, okay? Let's start with a study. This study right here is of 80 different studies where the researchers looked at different forms of lowering calories to lose weight. Okay, so the good news was they said that on all the diets where they tracked people that were using calorie counting, they lost weight initially. And the but changes everything. But every person gained their weight back steadily to where they started and beyond. This is 80 studies, hundreds of people, nothing that, look, here's the thing about us. We don't make things up. We only give you medical proof. I put the website there. It's free to go there. It's the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website with the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. He and his team created this new protocol. They don't sell it. They don't have any products, okay? But can you even imagine in your mind it's possible now to lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet you've been on, you're currently on, you're thinking about being on? Women lost a whole dress size in 7 days. Men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist in a week. So the bloating that so many people complain about, basically gone in just a few weeks. In a month, men and women were losing as much weight. I hate to even tell you this because you're going to get skeptical, but it's in the medical proof is there. They lost weight in a month that took a year on diets, lost no water weight, and instead of losing lean muscle, which is the downside of all diets, when they tell you don't lose more than a pound a week on a diet, it's really unhealthy. I agree. Because in the studies, we know that up to 40% of the weight you're losing is lean muscle mass. Well, why is that so bad? Because when you lose lean muscle, your brain slows down your metabolism. That's why you gain all the weight back. But the other thing it's doing to you, it's also slowing down your own immune system. So the very diet you're fitting into your skinny jeans is doing something to you. Do you know going on a diet lowering calorie now, according to the experts, is the most unhealthy thing you could ever do? And it's completely non-sustainable. I mean, here's another big study right here. Listen to what they said. Again, I'm not giving you if you want opinions, there's plenty of people on social media. I just want to have a conversation with you. Yes, I'm a nutritional researcher, but here's the cool thing. It's not my research. It's the research of other researchers. So listen to this other report, why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. This is not an opinion on my part. You can do whatever you want to do. It's a free country. You can count calories. You can listen to the celebrities and the celebrity chefs and the fitness trainers and the diet doctors and dietitians. But I look around and go, wait a minute. In 1964, about 10 to 12% of the population was overweight or obese. Last year, they estimated it was 80% overweight in this country, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. For the first time in history, we have more people obese than overweight. Does anyone really think what we're doing is working? Look, this is a conversation. This is live. This is not an infomercial. This is a medical podcast where we're training you and we're just making you aware of what's available, right? You can see there the new health conversation. It's completely free to go there. The only thing there is the medical proof. Now, if you go there, we will not contact you. I want to be clear about that. We don't need to do that. We rely on the science. But if you like what you see, you can scroll down and you can sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Now, here's what's different. Not only is that consultation free, but that coach will coach you the whole time because you've never done anything like this before. This was a theory that they've now, by the way, these studies were started about 6 years ago. The people in the studies have kept their weight off for 6 years. It's called R2M, race to maintenance. Think about it, or am I wrong? And I'm okay with being wrong. But the problem is that people are losing weight and they're gaining it all back. And then they go on the next diet and it actually gets worse. I'll share a personal story with you. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy. And I loved her. She was awesome. So I've lived through fat shaming, right? My mom called me up about 23. I spent 24 years now. She said, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day thin. I said, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mom did about every diet, many of the diets that you're on today. I'd see her lose 20 pounds and gain 25 back. Her overwhelming desire in her life was to be thin. That's pretty shocking. I miss her a lot. She was friggin' awesome. You all have you have the opportunity my mom never got. You literally could do a do-over, or you can follow the nice people on social media. I'm not making this up. I'm not disparaging any of them. But what if everything they're telling you is totally wrong because that's what they were taught? I liken it to 550 years ago when the smartest people in the world told the world what? The world's flat. Again, please put in the chat any diet you think works. Any diet that's not some form of counting calories. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. But listen to this. This is Johns Hopkins Medical School, a new study. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. In 4.5 years, we're going to have 86, almost 90% of Americans will be overweight or obese. Honestly, do you think diets are working? Do you? Look, we wrote the definitive book about this called Why Diets Are Failing Us in 2010. By the way, I don't want you to buy my books. Number two, on the website, there's no books to buy. So I'm only showing you to establish the fact I've been on this for almost 23 years now. And we said, our theory was, wait a minute, why are we counting calories? The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. We said, instead of counting calories, how about making every calorie count? Code word was, we need to concentrate on nutrition. We didn't know how right we were until, now almost 15 years later, that all the evidence is coming out and saying we were totally right. Even, I want you to understand, I don't want to give you opinions. Opinions don't mean a thing. So here's Harvard Medical School. You know what the title of this study is? Stop Counting Calories. They said most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. How many of you have been told that? Cut calories specifically 3,500 to lose about a pound. But, notice it's but. As it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. They go on to say, the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, she said. It's time to concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. What a novel concept. These researchers have nothing to do with Harvard. So this is, because these studies were started more than 6 years ago, and this article just came out from Harvard Medical School. But it's not the only source. It's source after source after source saying this whole nonsense about counting calories is totally obsolete. Let me show you some more evidence, and then I'm going to show you some before and after pictures that I know is going to make you more skeptical. You're going to think we photoshopped them. You're going to say, this is not possible. It's unsafe to lose that much weight that fast. On a diet, it would be. But we've got 10 medical studies proving it's safe. It's totally safe. And you're basically eating food in a different way, in different amounts, and different combinations. I mean, doesn't that, I mean, if you, here's kind of, imagine your body was a car. And right now, with your best efforts, I'm going to prove you in a moment, but with your best efforts with organic, et cetera, you're fueling your body with a gallon, let's call it like gasoline, all right, fuel. You're going to go 20 miles on that gallon. What these researchers did, they created basically food that takes you 100 miles on the same amount. That's why it works. That's why it's safe. You're not losing lean muscle. You're not losing water weight. It's remarkable that something kind of simple, not really, turned out to be what was the secret? Nutrition and a new way of consuming it, right? So the point is that one more study that I want to reference for you this is the New England Journal of Medicine, where they took two groups of people. This is 12 months, by the way, a whole year. They had one group who lowered calories, and the other group did this new phase, called time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. After 12 months, the people who lowered calories lost, this is from New England Journal of Medicine, by the way, not my opinion. In a year's time, they lost 16 pounds. The people that did time-restricted eating only lost 12.6 pounds in a year. That's a pound a month. And both those lowering calories and doing time-restricted eating lost, of the weight they lost, up to 40% was lean muscle mass. But I've got tons of other studies. So let's review one more time. What did these researchers do to create these before and afters that I'm about to share with you that, again, I know you're going to think they're Photoshopped. They're not Photoshopped in any way. So what they did essentially was say, after almost 40 years of research, what we had done with people was lower the amount of food they were consuming, but not taking into account nutrition. So they figured out, we're going to lower the amount of food people consume, and instead of lowering nutrition, we're going to see if we can find food sources that will keep the nutrition high. Okay, that's it. Nutritional density. So they did it by 30% of the food comes from food source, and you get a food list. You're free. You actually take it to the grocery store. Here it is. The other 5 foods, or 70% of what you're going to consume, come from other researchers, not the researchers who created this, and certainly not from us. We're not selling you anything. You're either buying from your grocery store, or you're buying these 5 foods they come from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, from Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represent massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of quantity. So now they had the ingredients. Got that? Then 2 complete new ways of consuming food. Number 1, they created something called protein pacing. What the heck is that? Well, 5 days a week, they had people have 4 meals a day. You heard me. They started with these 5 foods, which the researchers said they believe they've created the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint of view, with the foods from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Okay? Breakfast is the world's most perfect meal. Lunch from the grocery list, 3rd meal from the grocery list, and your 4th meal at the end of the day is the world's most perfect meal. 2 days a week, they had people do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not nothing, not time-restricted eating, nothing to do with that. On those days, they had no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods from around the world 4 times a day, about every 2 or 3 hours. And what were the results? I know it's hard to imagine, but men and women across the board lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. These researchers who'd done 100 studies, thousands of people, or hundreds of people over almost 40 years. So they had something to compare it to. Women lost a whole dress size on average in a week, and men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist. No one was allowed to exercise because the researchers didn't want exercise to be part of it, if that makes sense to you. Now, the other thing that happened in a month, because they measured all this, the researchers, people lost no water weight, but ended up losing the kind of weight, well, I can tell you right away, I read the New England Journal of Medicine study to you. It took people a year to lose 16 pounds. These people lost 16 pounds in a month, lost no water, and instead of losing any lean muscle, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, the main thing I want to share with you next, so I don't get in trouble with the censors, this is completely safe. It's backed by medical proof. What I'm showing you is from the results of this protocol in the medical studies. It's 100% safe. So let's start first with Kristen. This is the least amount anybody lost. 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches in 30 days. But the thing I want you to concentrate is look at the body composition, the abdomen, the stomach, the waist, and her arms. It's not photoshopped in any way, shape, manner, or form. Then this lady, this was exactly 5 weeks. Now this one, most people think we photoshopped. And look at her neck, arms, stomach, legs. This is the same person in just 5 weeks, not 5 months. Again, with no exercise. Now the next one I want to show you, it's not just that the weight loss is unbelievable, but it's the medical changes. Now, again, let me be clarified. This is for educational purposes only. We're not here to treat, diagnose, cure. We're certainly not curing any diseases. We're sharing with you the medical information. None of it's a claim because we're referring to the medical studies, right? But when I show you this next one, you'll think this is not possible. Okay, he lost 40.8 pounds and 52 inches in just 30 days. Look at his stomach in that side view. He's not holding it in. I'm going to zoom in. You can see the A1C, that's the blood sugar, went from 8.4 to 6.4 in 30 days. Triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. Okay, this last one is even more dramatic. He lost 45.3 pounds, 60 inches in 30 days. And again, look at his A1, his blood sugar, 7.9 to 6.2. Look at his LDL cholesterol dropped from 120 to 59. It dropped in half in 30 days. See, the main reason to do this is not to lose weight. That's a throw-in. That's a given. The main reason to do it is to maximize what we call your quality of life potential, which is what? Your health potential. Isn't your health your wealth? Is there anything more important to you than your health? What would it be? And yet I know right now that there are tons and tons and tons of people that are going on diets where they're counting calories. It's just silly. You know, and I want to show you again the medical proof. One of the big, buzz things now is this time restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. When that was first brought out, the only studies that were done to justify it were done on mice and rats, not on human beings. Now we're starting to see studies coming out. The first one I'm going to share with you is from the Journal of the American Medical Association, one of the big medical journals in the world. They did a 3-month study. I'm going to read directly from the study. The Journal of the American Medical Association new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours a day, meaning eating 8 hours and not eating for 16, this is right from the report, gained from the study, sorry, not a report, it's the study, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Well, the influence is telling you can lose 20 pounds in a month, and the majority of what you're losing is fat. It's fabricated. There's no basis. There's no proof to show that. As a matter of fact, I have a second big study. This one was done in the Annals of Internal Medicine, just published in March of 2024, just 8 or 9 months ago. And they did, again, a 3-month study comparing just lowering calories to this time-restricted eating. Here's what they found. After 12 weeks, those people doing time-restricted eating lost 4.6 pounds in 3 months. The people who just lowered calories lost 5.2 pounds in 3 months. But here's what they said. Time-restricted eating on weight in any prior studies was only due to reductions in calorie intake, not the timing of when people ate. Again, you can believe whatever you want. You can believe influencers, but all they're giving you is opinions. We're the canaries in the coal mine. We're fighting the battle. I mean, I'm up against millions of people that are going to those sites and listen. It's great. We're gonna sell you an app, really, where you get recipes. Oh, and then you're gonna get recipes for what? Recipes for what? It's all about portion control. At the end of the day, that's what the recipe's about. They don't mention one word about nutrition. Is it just me, or are we just like we're defining the definition of insanity? Hi, sir. Sandeep Kumar. Hello. So Terrence, do you have any questions for me? Because I'm here, it's live, I'm happy to answer anything. But the bottom line is, I know the headline is maybe dramatic, but there's no question this groundbreaking new weight loss is shocking the medical world. They've never seen anything like this. No one's seen anything like this ever. I mean, if you're really serious about changing your life, and here's the thing, if you go to the website, the New Health Conversation, we don't contact you. We don't need to do that. It's the only thing there is the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher, weight loss physiologist in the world. But if you like what you see, scroll down, sign up for a free personal consultation or not. That's up to you. Does this make sense to you, Terrence? Do you understand the difference? Do you understand what they did? Do you understand that these before and afters are not photoshopped in any way? As a matter of fact, I'll show you an athlete to think it's not just for weight loss. Wait till you see this. This is exactly 11 days, okay? Day one, you can see really pretty good shape to start out with. 4 days later, 11 days later, look at that transformation. It says day 12, that's the morning of day 12. So they weighed the morning of day one, or picture was day one, then day 5, and then day 12. But it really was just 11 days. But look, you see, this is not a diet. It doesn't work like that. It's not about weight loss. It's about improving your health. It's about empowering your own body to work better by giving it fuel that can take you 100 miles on the same amount of fuel versus the food you're curring now only takes you 20 miles. I'm using a car analogy because I think people will understand that better than metabolic, it's metabolic explanations. So So Terrence, again, any other questions? Because I'm gonna close this podcast out in about 3 more minutes. But if you have any questions, I will stay. I'll answer them. Do whatever you wanna say. And Terrence, it's okay if you're skeptical. I understand that. But one thing that I love about science, unlike me, it has no emotions, it has no agenda, it has no prejudice. It just is. And we're presenting for you, to you, the medical proof. No opinions on our part. I wouldn't want you to believe me. But when you're talking about peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, it's irrefutable evidence, meaning it's already been vetted, examined by the top, medical doctors and researchers in the world. So I don't have to give you my opinion. Why would my opinion matter? What matters are the published, and these are published in some of the biggest medical journals in the world, like the Obesity Journal, Nutritional Journal, Frontiers in Physiology, Frontiers in Nutrition, Nutrients, and Nature Communications, which is considered the #1 medical journal in the world. And that study had nothing to do with weight loss. It had 100% to do with our gut health, called our microbiome. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the implications of this for our what's the big theme now? Make America healthy again. Kind of think that maybe is what we need to do. Listen, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Does anybody think that's working? Hello, user 1710. So Terrence, okay. So good question. So I'm going to put it in here again. And so Terrence, it's really pretty simple. We want you to be able to see the medical proof first. So you can go, and I know it's up there a couple times. I'm going to put it up there right under your name so you can see it. Hopefully I can do that. The New Health Conversation. Terrence, it's right under there. You go there, you get to see all the medical proof. But if you go there, Terrence, be clear, we're not going to call you. We don't do that. We want you to be excited about what this could do for your life based only on the medical proof. It's in layman's terms, okay? Then if you like what you do, scroll down. At the bottom, it says sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. The consultation's 100% free, and that coach will coach you the whole time for free through this. So 30% of your food, and they'll go over that with you, 30% of the food you're going to buy, you'll get a grocery list from the coaches. And then the other 5 foods, they'll show you how to order directly from the suppliers who supplied the foods to the research. And I didn't even tell you the best part. So the 70% of what you're going to spend out of what you normally would spend on food, they give you a 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. So basically, you have no risk at all because you have to eat, right? You have to eat. And they'll give you a refund after 10 or 11 days, or it's 4 days. You don't have to wait 30 days. But normally we tell people, you're going to know, we have an expression, just give us 4 days. Because typically, Terrence, how excited would you be if in 4 days you lost as much weight as in a month of any diet you've ever been on, and you feel great, and you have energy, and your mental fog goes down, you have less aches and pains, and you sleep after just 4 days, not 4 weeks. And that's why we have everybody go to the medical free website to see the proof first. We don't have time to convince or sell you. And why do we do a free personal consultation? Because Terrence, we don't know anything about you. Are you on any medication? What have you tried in the past? Are you exercising? Terrence, we have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have a lady now that's 91. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with kidney transplants. And again, let me repeat, we're not treating, curing, diagnosing any medical conditions whatsoever. So I want all of you to understand that you're in a position here to hit the reset button really for the rest of your life, if that's what you want to do. But again, oh, okay. So if you don't mind, Terrence, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? I'm just plugging my computer in, everybody, because I don't want it to die. That would be a bad thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Big reset. No. Well, now's the time to do it. But Terrence, I want you to be comfortable. Do you feel like we're being totally fair with you? Because I don't want you, I'm not here to convince you, and I'm certainly not here to sell you. Because you don't buy anything from me anyway. That has no bearing on it. But the point is, we want to be able to reach people like you that are really serious. And maybe they've tried 5, 10, 400. Okay. I'm working with a gentleman right now that weighs 600, Terrence. But Terrence, how excited would you be? I'm going to tell you right now. So Terrence, what would you do if you lost 45 pounds in a month and 60 inches? And I don't know about your other medical conditions, but if all those numbers could come down, how excited would that make you? You get coached for free, and it's 100% money back guarantee in the first month. I mean, that's crazy. I'm going to try and find for you. This one will really blow your mind. Now, I think it's backwards, actually, because when I do things on my phone, it reverses. I just want to show you this one picture. Where is he here? Hold on just a second. I'll find it. This is going to completely blow your mind. This guy weighed, let me get it. What did I do with it? Do I have it here somewhere? It's not there. What I was going to tell you, we can really, really help you. That's what I was going to tell you. But I just wanted to see if I had this one. I guess I don't. Okay. Yeah, here's another gentleman. Look at this one. 45.3 pounds, 60 inches. Okay. And you look at his triglycerides at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. 229 dropped to 110. But look at his blood pressure. It was 134 over 91. It dropped to 102 over 61. So again, the main thing, Terrence, for you, type 2. Terrence, you're going to love this. The man who invented it more than 25 years ago, or the first iterations of it, was a diabetic. Now, Terrence, you'll probably appreciate this. Are you on metformin, glucophage, or insulin, or any of the other Ozempic, or any of the other drugs that, not against them, I'm just going to tell you what they found in the studies. Terrence, in the first 30 days, some of the people were diabetics on glucophage, metformin, insulin. They had their medical doctors monitoring them as they went through this, not the researchers. This was their medical doctors. At the end of 30 days, almost all the well, you probably know this. When you take a med to lower your blood sugar, it drives up your insulin. When insulin goes up, your body stores fat. That's why diabetics have such a terrible time losing weight. And yet, I'm sure your doctor told you if you could lose weight, you'd need less medicine. What they found in the studies, Terrence, in 30 days, insulin, for the first time this ever happened, came down 41% in 30 days. And the doctors reduced the medication their patients were on by 50% in 30 days. Do you see, Terrence, why this is so much? The weight, we're going to get it off you. Just trust us. We'll get it off you. But the main thing we want to do is set you up so you can keep that weight off for the rest of your life. I don't think you want to go back to where you're going to start on day one. This is so... See, my mom never got this chance. She never did. You, Terrence, you could change. Exactly. Metformin and insulin. Wow. So, Terrence, how excited would you be if you could reduce? Because again, we're going to want your doctor to monitor you. We're not playing doctor. We don't do that. We're not treating, diagnosing, anything. But, Terrence, I'd be pretty surprised if you didn't, in the first week or so, you're at least 50% of your meds you're going to have to cut back on, at least 50%. How much would that excite you? But how about the energy? How about all the side effects of even being a type 2 diabetic, right? This could change, this could potentially change the rest of your life. And it's, so Terrence, do you feel comfortable that we're giving you free advice? I want you to be comfortable. I want anybody to be comfortable. If you go to that website, we are not going to contact you. So Terrence, it's important that you scroll down and if you want, you can sign up for the free consultation, because in the medical studies, you'll see the diabetics. You'll see the numbers. They're right in the studies. It's right on the website. It's totally transparent. Wow, that's really, really exciting, Terrence, and also I think Helena. I know this sounds too good to be true, but I'm telling you, these studies, this new approach, it's shocking the medical world. They don't even know what to say about it. I mean, insulin coming down 41% in 30 days, never been seen in history, ever, on medication and whatever, never. And we're not against drugs. We're not against metformin. But if we can help you to reduce the amount you need, I think your doctor would champion that. I'm sure, am I right, Terrence? I'm sure your doctor told you if you could lose weight, you probably would need less medication. Am I right? I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for any of you that want to come on here. So Renata Greer. Hello, welcome. So Renata, what we're talking about, yeah, you'd be much less insulin resistant. We're talking about this new weight loss breakthrough that is, well, let me show you. I'll just give you a quick overview. This is completely safe. It's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. This is the least amount people were losing. 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days, and they've kept it off for 6 years because these medical studies were started about 6 years ago. That's one. And then look at this in 5 weeks. Look at that before and after. It's not Photoshopped. Look at her neck, arms, stomach, legs. She literally shrank. This is not a diet. It doesn't work like this. It's not about counting calories. That's why it's shocking the medical world. They don't know what to say. They've never seen numbers like this. They're so, outrageous. I'll show you another one here too. This lady, she lost, let's call it almost 24 pounds in a month, 66 inches. And look at her triglycerides. They were 276 and they dropped to 126. The main reason to do this, the weight loss for us is a joke. That's the throw-in. That's going to happen anyway. It's about improving your quality of life potential. So Nate, let me show you a couple men that went through this, okay? These are all 30 days. They're not Photoshopped, and it's 100% safe. Nate, look at this. 40.8 pounds, 52.5 inches in 30 days, and look at his blood sugar numbers. He went from 8.4 to 6.4 in 30 days. His triglycerides went from 242 to 124 in 30 days. This gentleman, 45.3 pounds, 60 inches in 30 days. You can see his A1C went from 7.9 to 6.2, and his LDL went from 120 to 59. He cut it in half in 30 days. 30 days. That's why it's shocking the medical world. And what's so cool about it is the researchers who invented this, they don't have any products. They did it naturally. They figured out new food combinations and completely different ways of consumption. How much, when, etc. Totally different. And they produce results. And these are the top weight loss researchers in the world for nearly 40 years. They've done over 100 studies, thousands of people, and they were the ones that invented it. I know it sounds too good to be true, but again, show me, and I know you can say, oh, those are Photoshopped. They're not Photoshopped. On my 3 kids, on my 2 kids, and my 4 grandchildren, I swear to God, on their lives, no Photoshopping. We don't need to. We're giving you a free medical website where you can go and see the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 nutritional research physiologist, weight loss researcher in the world. And he talks about, they're stunned. They'll never recommend any form of traditional dieting ever again based on these studies that just were published in the last 18 months. These studies were started 6 years ago. These people, they've kept the weight off now for 6 years. No diet's ever produced anything like that. Oh, it helps Crohn's tremendously. As a matter of fact, Terrence, I was talking to you before about this big study I hold in my hand here on the gut microbiome, which is your gut, Crohn's, colitis, all those things are affected there. And this study in Nature Communications, the number one medical journal in the world, they saw a dramatic, the title in the study, saw a dramatic improvement in the operation of the gut, Crohn's, colitis, irritable bowel, etc. This is not a diet for any of you. It is not a diet. It doesn't work like that. I know everybody gets excited about the weight loss, but that's kind of like the least important part. It's about your health. In a month's time, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. And for the first time ever in history, they measured inflammation, which, in case you didn't know, is the underlying cause of every disease out there. It came down in a month by 25% in 30 days. I mean, people lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet any of you have ever been on. Women lost a whole dress size in a week. Guys lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist in a week. No one was allowed to exercise. What? Yeah. Because the researchers didn't want exercise to be an outlier, didn't want to affect the outcome. You're a click away. If you go to the website, it's free. It could change your life. Because what are you doing now? What's your plan? For any of you, what's your plan? Are you going to do keto or paleo or Mediterranean or time restricted eating or go to the gym and get a trainer, get a nutritionist, get a dietitian? All due respect to all of them. It's a complete and utter disaster. Here's a study by Johns Hopkins Medical School. Wait till you hear this. Let me just get it here for a second. The title of it is Study Predicts Obesity Apocalypse by 2030. They're estimating 86% of Americans will be overweight or obese in less than 5 years. Does that sound like any of you? Which nutritionist are you going to sign up? Which dietitian? Which medical doctor? Which chiropractor? Which fitness person you're going to work with? Do you see what I'm saying? I don't fault them. They're telling you what they think they know. But the dogma is completely worn out. Harvard Medical School, I have it right here. Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. This idea of a calorie in, this is from Harvard Medical School. This idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She says, drop the calories notion. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. There's no mention of calories here. Do you know that a calorie is just a measurement? It's not a real thing. A calorie is the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. Nothing less than nothing. Why are you counting calories? Your body's not counting calories. You know what a diet is? We're having a casual conversation. You're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. And what they never tell you, when that happens, you're also reducing nutrition. When your brain senses there's not enough nutrition, you have no control over this. It goes into survival mode, starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, and turns to your muscles for fuel. And then that's so inefficient, the brain slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau in these diets. That's why you lose weight initially, and then it's a little bit less, and a little bit less, and then pretty soon you're frozen. I had a guy yesterday, he lost 90 pounds. He has another like 45 pounds to lose. Since June, he's been on the same diet, exercise in 5 days. He has not lost an ounce. He hasn't lost anything. Right, because his body shut down his metabolism to the point where even when he's eating normally, he's on a diet still. No, it's not going to work. Look, how in the world could they be predicting? Do you know in 1964, 10%, 12% of America was overweight or obese? They're saying now, basically, that would be what? 65 years later, that 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese by 2030, where we're in 2025 right now. I mean, our job, my job, is just to have a conversation with you. I'm the researcher of the researchers. It's not my research. Now, I've written, and you can't buy any books on my site, by the way, but I've got them in my hand. I've written 4 best-selling books with some of the top medical doctors in the world. I did 20 shows on PBS. I did over 1,500 live lectures around the world in universities and medical schools and hospitals and towns. They even flew me to China. And I'm not telling you to brag I just want you to know I've spent 22 years of my life on this. By the way, my own story. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, almost 23 years ago. And in my case, and I'm not telling any of you to do this, this is what got me started. I walked in my doctor's office almost 23 years ago, and he said, if you don't do something radically different today, he says, you've got an 85% chance of a heart attack within 18 months. My cholesterol was 400. My triglycerides were 300. I was 40 pounds overweight. So he put me on diet, exercise, and a statin to lower my cholesterol. He said, come back in 8 weeks. 8 weeks later, I'd lost 8 pounds, but my cholesterol only came down 15 points. He said, I can't give you any more meds. Now, I was eating like 1,500 calories a day, no cholesterol. I was working out 7 days a week. Well, thank God that same week, I ran into a friend of mine who played professional football for the Oakland Raiders and told me about this new, it was the early stages of what it now has become today. I went on it. I lost 8 pounds in 4 days. I lost 12 pounds in 9 days, 20 pounds in 18 days, 30 pounds in a month. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, went back my 8-week follow-up. This time my doc comes in, throws my chart down, says, Peter, you're trying to kill yourself? I said, what are you talking about? I'm not suggesting any of you do what I did. I'm just sharing my story. He said, the lab made a mistake. I said, what do you mean? He said, I've never seen this. He said, your cholesterol's gone from 400 to 120. Your triglycerides have gone from 300 to 30. How much statin are you taking? I said, Doc, I haven't touched that stuff in 8 weeks. He goes, well, we definitely need to the lab made a mistake. I said, you're not retesting me. So that's how this whole thing started. And then through another doctor friend of mine, I was introduced to the chemist who invented it. And anyway, the rest is history. You know, four days, you know, 4 best-selling books. Let's see. Again, not being evasive, Terrence, you can go over all that with because there's different, medium, fast, speed, different price ranges, etc. But what I'm telling you, Terrence, basically you're going to replace most of the food you're probably already buying that has no real impact on your condition. So again, that's why I would suggest you go and sign up for the free, personal consultation. I just think it's so amazing. Hello, 6558. What we've been discussing is this groundbreaking new weight loss protocol that is shocking the medical world, where men and women with no exercise, they lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in a month as a year on diets. It's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. Susanna, how excited would you be if you could lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on? It's 100% safe. I'm going to show you, Susanna, what's possible. This is not Photoshop. This is real. Look at this. 21.2 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days, medically backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. This lady is exactly 5 weeks. It's not Photoshop. Look at her neck, look at her arms, look at her waist, look at her legs. No diet has ever produced anything like this. And you can see there, it's 5 weeks, not 5 months. It's the most amazing thing that anybody's ever seen before. Susanna, most women on this in the first week reduced a whole dress size in 7 days, and no one was allowed to exercise. Men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist in a week, and that's not even the most important reason to do it. The most important reason to do it is to improve basically our medical. Here's another lady. She lost 23.6 pounds, 66 inches in 30 days. The thing I want you to pay close attention to, look at her triglycerides at the bottom. They went from 276, they dropped to 126, and her LDL went from 116 to 84. That's in 30 days, not 30 weeks. It's not a diet. It doesn't work anything like that. And so, Susanna, what we've done to make it easy for everybody, we've created a website. It's above my head there. You can see the New Health Conversation. I'm also going to put it in the chat. And you're welcome to go there at any time. It's free medical. There's no hype. There's nothing to buy on there. It's just the medical proof. Hold on just a second. You can see the new, how I spelled conversation wrong. Let me put it up there again. The new health conversation. So if you go there, Susanna, and you like what you see, because we won't contact you. We don't contact. There it is. Did I spell it? Yeah, I spelled it right that time. The idea is to give you access to the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the whole world, who he and his team invented this. And here's the cool thing. They don't have a product. They don't sell anything. They're scientists. What they basically did after almost 40 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people, they figured out why diets don't work. And it was pretty simple. When you go on a diet, it has nothing to do with calories. It has to do with the quantity of food you're consuming. So you lower the amount of food you're consuming. What else do you lower? You lower nutrition. So the theory, it was a theory with these researchers. Could we lower the quantity of food people consume, but not lower the nutritional density of the food? And they did it by only 30% of the food you would consume. You get from the grocery store, you get a grocery list, fats, proteins, carbs, and the amounts, okay? Then the other 70% of the food you're going to consume, you would buy from these suppliers, that not the researchers and not from us, but directly from these 5 food groups that come from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represent what the researchers call the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint. Okay, so now you have the ingredients. Then they created 2 completely different ways of consuming food. Number 1, 5 days a week, you would have 4 meals a day. You heard me. You start with these 5 foods from around the world, lunch from your grocery store list, which you get, 3rd meal from the grocery store, and the 4th meal, the world's most perfect meal. You do that 5 days a week. 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods from around the world. So that was the theory. Would it work? Well, on the 8th morning, when they weighed people, they were completely stunned. Men and women in that first 7 days lost as much weight as any diet they'd ever studied in 2 months. In a month, fast forward, men and women were losing the kind of weight, took a year on diets, lost no water weight, and instead of losing lean muscle, which is the case on every diet, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Essentially, they've made every traditional diet completely obsolete. And it's back, like I said, there are a total, I've got all of them here, 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. And on the website, we have, I think there's 3 or 4 on there, the biggest ones, although you can have access to all the other ones, but just the website, there's only so much you can put on there. And the interview, but the most important thing is the interview, not with me. It's not my research. But these are the top people in the world that invented this, and it's all natural. It was based on food and a new way of consuming it. Like a new, I guess you could call it a menu in a sense, I guess. I know it sounds too good to be true. By the way, if you go to the website and you like what you see, you scroll down, sign up for a free, and I mean free consultation with one of our coaches. Not only is the consultation free, but that coach will coach you the whole time for free. We're not fooling around here. This is real. Unless you think we lied to you or we photoshopped those pictures, we didn't. Like I tell men and women, how excited, how motivated would you be if you could lose as much weight safely in 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on, that you tortured yourself? You ever been on a diet? Oh, the other thing I didn't even tell you, in a month's time, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down dramatically in 30 days. Inflammation, for the first time in history, was measured by these researchers. It came down in a month by 25%. Hunger came down 41% in 30. People's cravings went away. Why? Because they were getting massive amounts of nutrition, not massive amounts of food quantity. And this is not a lotion, potion, pill, capsule. This is food groups. We have 80% of America overweight today, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. And John Hopkins has just said, predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Please put in the chat. Tell me anybody, a diet you think works long term. This other big study where they said why you shouldn't count calories. This is not my opinion. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count and restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. This is what's happening. How do you go in 1964 from 10 to 12% overweight and obese to this year, to 2024, 80%? That's an 800% increase. And yet, what are we doing? We're looking for more diets that are, all they do is change the names. All a diet is lowering the amount of food you're consuming. Oh, I know there's macros and there's carbs, but at the end of the day, that's all they're doing. But your body doesn't care about quantity. It cares about quality. Here's a car, and now best analogies I can use. So let's say our body's an engine. Let's say it's a car. What does a car run on? Well, it'll make it easier if I just do it in gas gallons, not making people mad. If you got an electric car, go for it. I'm all for it, right? But what you're doing with the food you're doing now, proven in medical studies, our food in this country is all but nutritionally bankrupt. Even if you do organic, they did a study on spinach. From 1953 to today, Cornell University, iron levels in spinach have decreased by 4,300%. The researchers, that's what they figured out. Our food was, when they put people on diets and lowered the quantity of food on food that already had very little nutrition, the body freaked out, went in starvation mode, prevent you from burning fat, turned your muscles into fuel, slowing down the metabolism. That's why people gain everything back. I mean, I don't know what else to do, but you just keep doing this and keep making people aware. And some will, some won't. I can't, it's like, there's the gym, but I'm not going to do your push-ups for you. With a click on Google, it could change your life by going to that website. It's free. There's nothing to buy. There's no tricks. We're not going to call you if you go there. You have free coaching. And, I didn't even tell you the best part. So 30% of the food you're going to buy comes from the grocery store. The other 70% comes from these foods from around the world. And those suppliers who supplied the foods, because we don't sell you anything and the researchers don't sell you anything, but those 5 foods, which represent 70% of what you're going to spend in a month, 100% money back guarantee. Show me that with paleo, keto, Mediterranean, any of these things. I mean, I just find it crazy that we become so brainwashed that we don't even question. Go to Walmart. I was in Walmart yesterday. I mean, they have scooters. I mean, it's so tragic. My own mother was morbidly obese. I'm not fat shaming. I lived with that. I saw what it was. I am so passionate about this because sadly, 24 years ago, my mom called me up one day, said, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend 24 hours thin. 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I loved my mom. It didn't matter how big she was. Her one burning desire in her life to spend just 24 hours thin. She didn't want a week. She didn't want a month. She couldn't imagine it because she lived with all the fat shaming and the horrible things that go along. And if you're listening to this podcast or the rebroadcast of it, it's not your fault. We're on your side. You just have completely the wrong approach that's now being proven in study after study after study after study. What we're doing with calorie counting is a travesty. It's a disaster. And again, I'm not going to talk you in or out of anything. All we say to you is you have the opportunity, if you want to go to the website, the New Health Conversation. It's above my head. It's also posted down there on the bottom, and see for yourself. See the medical proof or not. It's up to you. So Santrice, before I sign off, do you have any questions you'd like to ask me? Are you looking to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight? What have you tried in the past? And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But the whole key here is that it's not a diet. It's totally different, and it has shocked the medical world. Santrice, men and women, well, I don't know if you were here to see, I'll just show you a couple of the before and afters, and these are not photoshopped, by the way, but I just got to find it. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Look at this. This is 30 days. 21.2 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days. Look at her abdomen, look at her stomach, look at her waist. She literally shrank. And it's completely safe. It's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. And then this is the one that's even more dramatic. This is exactly 5 weeks, not Photoshop. Look at her neck, look at her arms, look at her waist, look at her legs. I'm sure you're skeptical. When we didn't Photoshop any of this, it's not a diet. This is going to make every diet out there completely obsolete. Because again, I would ask you, why would you take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way? You could lose that much weight safely in a week. People lost in a month what took people a year on diets, and they've kept it off because these studies were started 6 years ago. They've kept it off for 6 years. It's up to any of you. Hi, Becky. Hi. Oh, that's a nice web. You look great. That's kind of a cool handle. So Becky, or you look great. Would you like to, do you want to ask me a question? I mean, again, let me just say this. You look great. You came on a little bit later. I don't think you got to see this. This is a revolutionary breakthrough by the top weight loss researchers in the world. Here is some of the results, and not Photoshop. She lost 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days. And you can see she probably needed to lose about 35 pounds. Look at her abdomen, look at her waist, look at her stomach. By the way, no one was allowed to exercise in these new medical studies. And then this woman, this is exactly 5 weeks. Again, not Photoshop. Look at her neck, arms, stomach, legs. Look at the difference, the transformation in her body composition. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. And these researchers who invented it are the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They don't sell anything. They don't have a product. They don't have a company. They're researchers. Essentially what they did, to summarize it, they realized that our food is almost nutritionally bankrupt. So when you go on a diet and you lower the quantity of food you're consuming, you're now lowering the nutrition to the point where it causes a crisis in the brain, thinks you're dying, thinks you're starving to death, stops you from burning fat and converts your muscles into fuel, slowing down your metabolism. That's why you gain all the weight back. But also it interferes with your own immune system, okay? So the very diet you're on is doing something to you. It's not doing something for you. So the researchers basically found they limited the amount of food people consumed in the studies, 30% from the grocery store. We actually supply you with a grocery list for free. By the way, the coaching of you on this is free because we don't sell you anything. They don't sell you anything. The other 70% of the food you would buy or what you'd spend comes from 5 food sources from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, and New Zealand that represent huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity. And then they created 2 completely different ways of consuming. Let's call it the recipe. What they did, 5 days a week, people did something called protein pacing. So 5 days a week, people were having 4 meals a day, starting with these 5 foods from around the world, which the researchers call the world's most perfect meals. Lunch from the grocery store list, 3rd meal from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal from the world's most perfect meals. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods from around the world, again, 4 times a day. And the results speak for themselves. Men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet that's ever been analyzed. I know it sounds good to be true, but you can see the medical proof for free on the, I know. And so I want to show you, if you don't mind, you look great. Let me show you a couple of the medical, what's going on here? Hopefully you can still, oh, I see what's going on. They're saying I'm hitting a time limit. Give me 1 second here to make sure they don't cut me off. Okay, we're back, all right? So you look great. What I want to show you next, I want to show you the medical reasons to do this, okay? Let's just start with another lady first. And her numbers are unbelievable. But look, she lost almost 24 pounds in 30 days, 66 inches. But look, for example, the top number, the LDL cholesterol, 116 to 84. Then look down at the bottom. Her triglycerides went from 276 to 126. Look, I mean, it's crazy. It's not a diet. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of the men, because again, the weight loss is insane. I get it. But the medical changes are crazy. Look at this, 40.8 pounds, 52 inches in 30 days. The number I want you to concentrate on the bottom 2, the A1C, the sugar levels, went from 8.4 to 6.4 in 30 days. Triglycerides from 242 to 124 in 30 days. Proven safe in 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. And then Andy lost 45.3 pounds, 60 inches in 30 days. Again, look at his A1C from 7.9 to 6.2. And his LDL from 120 to 59. His LDL dropped by 50% in 30 days. This is not a, do you understand now why the people are shocked? The medical experts are completely shocked. They've never seen anything like this before. And also in a month's time, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically. Hunger came down 41% in 30 days. Because you got to understand the whole principle behind this was how could we give you massive amounts of nutrition in the least amount of food possible? That's what they did. They didn't even know if it was going to work. It was a theory. But now it's published in 10 of the biggest medical journals in the world, in the Obesity Journal, in Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Physiology, Frontiers in Nutrition, Nutrients, and Nature Communications, the #1 medical journal in the world. And the last study wasn't even about weight loss. It was about our gut health, called the microbiome. and I kind of know a little bit about that because I wrote, and I don't want anybody to buy my books, but I want to show you that I'm not just making stuff up. I wrote this pretty famous book called Your Third Brain about the gut. This is one of the top oncologists in the world who's also a molecular biologist who also worked with two men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. Now, we had nothing to do with that medical study, but we talked about the importance of gut health, and you're seeing more and more and more on television. They're talking about the microbiome. We wrote the definitive book like 8 or 9 years ago. So when they published that study, we were clapping, going, yay. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. And what I would encourage you to do, you look great, is, again, I'm going to put it, it's right above your name. You can see it there, the new health conversation. I actually spelled it correctly. Above it, I misspelled it. And then you can see in red above my head right here, the new health conversation. And here's what's there. No books, nothing for sale. Only the medical. I'm going to show it to all of you, okay? Let me, picture's worth 1,000 words. There's the website. There's nothing on there to buy. It's just all the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. You can see number 3, the actual peer-reviewed studies. See, we're totally transparent. We're not hiding anything. We're proud of the fact we're the only people on social media with peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. We're not giving you opinions. Everybody else is just giving you an opinion. And people like they've got millions of followers, but what if everything they're telling you is wrong? Because it is. What do I base it on? Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. So you're telling me nearly 90% of America is going to be overweight or obese in less than 5 years? I'd say, wait a minute. Like was it Apollo 13, Houston, we got a problem? I think we got a problem. There are so many people that are desperate for a solution. And what are they doing? They're changing the name of the diet. It's paleo, it's keto, it's Mediterranean, it's Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrition, South Beach diet, to lose weight for your blood type, whatever. I mean, my gosh, it's not working. These researchers knew that. They had spent almost 40 years analyzing all those diets. They kept going thinking, well, this one might work or that one might work. They did over 100 studies, thousands of people. Every time people lost weight and gained it all back. Just like in this one big study where they said why you shouldn't count calories. Well, counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term. The approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. But that's one study. Now let me go. This study is called a meta-analysis. It's a fancy name for the study of studies. So what did they do? 80 weight loss clinical trials, the researchers compared different forms of calorie reduction diets. They found that all people in these calorie reduction diets lost weight initially. But, listen to the but every person's weight steadily came back to where it was and beyond. This is 80 medical studies. I mean, how much more evidence do you need to know? I'm not going to tell you not do paleo, do keto, do timers, do whatever you want to do. They don't work. Little secret, they don't work. That's why these studies have shocked the medical world and the researchers. Remember, it was their theory. That doesn't mean it was going to work. Is there the researchers, you know what they're saying now, the medical doctors? That obesity is the biggest threat in the history of mankind. Do you know that The Lancet, one of the biggest medical journals in the world, published a study in March of 2024 about, 10 months ago? They're now estimating out of 8 billion people, 1 billion are considered now clinically obese. They went on to say, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. Also saying people don't understand. This is from the study, not my opinion. People don't understand that being underweight or being obese are both forms of malnutrition because people aren't getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients necessary to support our maximum health. Does this make sense to all of you? Do you get it? I don't know. I hope you do. So I'm going to close this particular podcast. It's now, let's see, what time is it actually? It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast. So I would say I'll probably do another one in, let's say, about an hour. Well, no, yeah, probably an hour. So that's going to be what, about 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I hope this has been helpful, and I invite all of you to go to the website. It's free, the New Health Conversation, and see how men and women, for some of you people coming on late, let me just run, and this is totally safe. I'm going to just show you 3 or 4 before and afters that aren't Photoshopped. Okay, this one, 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days, no exercise. Look at her arms, stomach, abdomen, waist. Okay, this lady, exactly 5 weeks. It's not Photoshop. Look at her neck, arms, stomach, and legs. Okay. This gentleman, 40.8 pounds, 52 inches. That's not the reason to do it. Look at down at the bottom, you can see his A1C, his sugar levels went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides went from 242 to 124. Here's Andy, lost 45 pounds and 60 inches in 30 days. His A1C went from 7.9 to 6.4, and his LDL went from 120 to 59. He cut it in half in just 30 days. There's no equivalent to this. It's not a diet. This is not some new diet about rearranging calories or carbs or macros or whatever it might be. This is going to change the world. This is going to make every diet out there obsolete. And you're one click away from seeing for free the medical proof on that website, the New Health Conversation. There's nothing to buy. If you go there, we won't contact you. The only way we'll contact you is if you scroll down at the bottom, it says sign up for a free personal consultation. It's totally free, not just the initial consultation, but they'll coach you the whole way through. And effectively what it is, the researchers who invented it are the top weight loss researchers in the world for nearly 40 years. It's not lotions, potions, pills, capsules. It's all natural. It's a combination of new food groupings, 30% from the United States and 70% from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represented massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive quantities of food, if that makes sense. And then they created 2 new ways of consuming the food, where 5 days a week, you have 4 meals a day. You heard me, 4 meals a day. You start your day with these 5 foods from around the world. You have lunch we actually give you a grocery list that the researchers develop for free. There's no charge for the coaching. It's totally free. Then you have lunch from the grocery store list, the 3rd meal from the grocery, and the 4th meal at the end of your day, the world's most perfect, these 5 foods from around the world. And then 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Those days, no food from the grocery store, just these 5 foods from around the world. Now, keep in mind, the protocol is called R2M, race to maintenance. The whole key is to get the weight off you safely and quickly. You've now finished phase 1. Phase 2 is maintenance. The only reason to do this is to maintain your weight. I lost 40 pounds 7 years ago. Lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. So that's and maintenance is so simple. You start your day with the world's most perfect meal, have 2 normal meals, and then maybe once every 2 or 3 months, do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast. I mean, the studies, the people have kept the weight off now for 6 years. In my case, it's going on 23 years, actually. That's the main. Why are you going on these diets just to lose weight and gain it all back? You know, and you thought it was something you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. It's the wrong approach. All these diets, and you end up losing lean muscle, which slows your metabolism down. And it's not like you start going back. We know that the weight people are gaining back after they've lost the weight, 95% is fat. That's why people complain to me all the time. It's not just how much overweight they are, but how much fat they have in the body. That's why, for example, in particular, look at that. That's 5 weeks. Oh, by the way, no exercise. No, they weren't allowed to exercise because the researchers didn't want exercise to be an outlier. But look at the difference in 5 weeks. I mean, you don't have to believe it. Heck, they shocked the medical world with this. They've never seen, they didn't think this was possible. My gosh, with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, does anybody think diets are working? And then John Hopkins comes out and says, study predicts obesity apocalypse. Apocalypse by 2030, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Does that sound to you like these diets are working? Does it? I don't know. All I know is that this is going to completely change the world for the people that, how hard is it for you to type in the New Health Conversation in Google? There you go. All the information is there for free or not. So anyway, Rodson, I see you okay, you're off. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. And so it's now 2:08 on the East Coast, and I'll probably do another one, let's say maybe 3:30 Eastern time today, okay? Thank you all very much for listening. I hope it's been helpful to you.